Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode. This is episode number 3 already of the Glamping Resorts live podcast. I'm excited, especially for today's guest. He's a great friend of mine. But before we get to him, let's talk a little bit about our sponsors who make these episodes happen. So number 1, of course, is Glamping Resorts. Yes, that's right. That is us. So if you're looking to start your very own glamping resort, let us know because we can help you. Whether you have nothing started and you need a hand getting going, give us a call. glampingresorts.com. That's the website. You can find the phone number on there because for some reason I don't have it off the top of my head, but that's okay. glampingresorts.com. I mean, even if you already have your very own, campsite, campground. I always struggle with trying to find the word campground. If you have your very own campground and you want to increase occupancy rates, well, guess what? We can help you by adding glamping structures in, attract more people, and up those occupancy rates. Yes, that's right. Visit glampingresorts.com today and add glamping structures to your current campground. Or if you don't have a campground, either way. Next up is none other than Element Construction. These guys helped us build our domes, our tents. They helped with the posts on the walking trails, the playground, and these guys do amazing work. They are a great group of guys that you can trust and you can count on to get the job done. You don't have to go back years in the future and worry about fixing stuff that you shouldn't have to worry about fixing. Find them at elementconstruction.com. Yes, that's right, elementconstruction.com. Next up is North Shore Resort. Yes, that is our very first glamping resort that we started off Buffalo Pound Lake. We have the domes, we have the tents, and it was an amazing first summer. So if you're looking to book domes for next year, you better do it now because if you wait, you may not get the weekend that you want. You can also book those at glampingresorts.com. Yes, that's right. And we also have lakefront lots, lakeview lots for sale. The lakeview ones are also for lease if you are interested. So take advantage of that. I mean, it's really close to Regina, about 45 minutes. It's perfect for that weekend getaway instead of having to drive hours and hours and hours to a camp spot, a glamp spot, whatever you want to call it. Check it out, Buffalo Pound Lake. North Shore Resorts. I mean, we have gift cards as well. I should mention that. So Christmas is coming up. You want to do a nice little stocking stuffer for someone you love? Well, guess what? Give the gift of glamping. Go to glampingresorts.com. Purchase those gift cards today. And, I almost forgot. I should mention we also have some great options for financing if you are wanting to do a lakefront or lakeview lot. We can get you into one today for as little as 10% down. Yes, that's right, 10% down. And we have deals all over the place here. Until the end of November, which is coming very, very soon, you can get $500 off your seasonal site lease. It's 500 big ones. So save some money now, especially if you're already thinking about doing a lease spot for next summer, the 2020 season. Save $500, do it now, and just pocket that extra cash, and $500 can buy a lot. So think about that. All right, today's guest. He's a great guy. He works for Tourism Sask. He was a Saskatchewan Wonder at one point. He's done amazing things such as, he's done a TED Talk. He's a running ambassador. I'll let him talk more about that, though. But it is no one other than Mr. AndrewHiltz. And we are live, everybody. Welcome to the 3rd episode of Season 1 of the Glamping Resorts live podcast. My guest, AndrewHiltz. Welcome. Glad you could be here.
It's an honor to be here, my friend. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. The drive all the way up from Regina to Lumsden. It's hard to get you on, but I'm happy. Very happy able to make it.
Hey, anytime you call, I'll be here. Let's do this every week if you want.
Hey, all right. You serious? It could be the Glamping Resorts live podcast. Matt and Andrew.
Done.
All right, perfect. We'll be co-hosts. All right, let's get this podcast rolling. So, you're a Sask boy, born and raised Cornack, correct?
Yeah.
So, you left Sask for a bit, I believe BC, and then
sir.
you came back. So I kind of want to hear about the journey of growing up in Cornac, moving away, and then what kind of brought you full circle back to Saskatchewan, working in tourism.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess to start from the beginning, career-wise, I guess would be after graduation. Let's start there. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I didn't have an avenue. I ended up working at a rink as a Zamboni driver for a year.
That's actually really cool. That's very Canadian of you.
The most Saskatchewan job ever. So I did that for a year while I kind of tried to sort things out. I ended up applying for school. I got a marketing diploma. And then I ended up getting a job at a grain elevator in my hometown, Cornac, Saskatchewan. So
where did you go to school for your marketing?
I went to Moose Jaw.
Nice.
Back in the day, it was called SIAS. What do they call it now?
It's changed. Sask Polytech. It went from
Polytech.
SIAS to SAIT. Sask Poly. It's changed. It doesn't. Yeah.
So so I got my marketing diploma there, and then wasn't sure what to do. So in the meantime, I ended up going back home and working at a grain elevator. So I worked for Richardson Pioneer for a little while. Did that for 4 years. Had a blast. Enjoyed working in agriculture. Enjoyed living at home, and then just kind of got the itch to try something completely different. So like you said, I packed up and I moved to Vancouver. Ended up falling in love with the city. It was totally different than anything I was used to back home. I grew up in a town with 700 people, so it was quite an eye-opener to move to Vancouver, and just the variety and options available there blew my mind. So I stuck there for a long time, and then what ended up bringing me back home was kind of a combination of things. Mostly, I would say, is just my family is all here, and I missed home. It was the big city was nice, but I missed the slower lifestyle, and I wanted to be close to my nephews, my mom and dad, my cousins, everybody was
Do you
here.
have a brother or sister? Or?
Older brother, yeah.
Older brother, right?
Yeah, older brother and sister-in-law.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, so when you came back to Saskatchewan, what job was that? Was that the Saskatchewan Wonder that you came back for originally, or was it before that?
It was a little bit before that, yeah. Okay. So I came back and I got a job with Sask Power, just doing an overhaul at a power plant, just basically a 1-month job where I would go in and do some pretty, not fun work, but good paying work. So I'd go do that for a month, make a bunch of money, and then that's kind of how I would pay for travel. And while doing that job, I had a lot of time to think, doing some pretty slow tasks where you're just working with your hands, but you didn't have to think a lot. And while doing that job, I ended up deciding that I wanted a career in photography, more or less. It was in the back of my mind, but I decided to go for it at that time. So I started reading books on photography, videography, looking into options, and the Saskatchewan Wanderer fell on my lap. And then I built the application video that fall, I guess, and ended up getting the job in 2017.
And then I guess you could say that was really the pivot point from, switching to tourism, I guess, hey?
Exactly, yeah. Up until that point, tourism was always an interest because I always wanted to work with people. I wanted to travel, I wanted to be around. Tourism's such a great industry because everyone's happy. Everyone's doing something fun. The people you interact with, the people you meet, anything you do, people are usually enjoying if all's going well. So it was an industry I knew that I wanted to be a part of, but I didn't know where I fit in. And that's when photography and videography kind of worked me into the avenue I'm in now.
Yeah. It's kind of, I have a marketing degree as well, and I found that without photography, my marketing would really suffer. Yeah. I really think that if you're a marketer, you got to understand photography, videography to be successful in today's marketing world.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And the way things are now, you have to have a pretty decent grasp on social media. Most massive companies have a majority of their budget towards social media now and are leaving the avenue of building that one epic commercial per year or 2 commercials per year
to doing 365 almost.
And that's exactly it, to just putting stuff out every day.
Yeah. Okay, I want to talk more about your time as Saskatchewan Wanderer, because it's a unique position to Saskatchewan, and tell me about the experience doing it. That must have been a crazy year. Tell me about your favorite places, your favorite moments, and you just run me through the general experience.
Okay, yeah, that was a whirlwind of a year. That was one of the most incredible experiences I've had to date. I was not. I shouldn't say that. I was was hoping and expecting to get the job. I was pleasantly surprised when I got it, and it was everything that I expected and a lot more. The amount of people that I got to meet and the experiences that I got to share with the province in my travels, I was like in a constant state of gratitude from that job, because day in and day out, you were doing something special. And growing up in Saskatchewan, my travel throughout the province normally revolved around sports, hockey. So I would go from Coronach, Saskatchewan to Glentworth or Rockland or Assiniboia. Sometimes you go up to Prince Albert, go way up to Prince Albert for a hockey tournament. And you wouldn't really get to see what the cities and places had to offer unless you spent an extra day or two. And when I was growing up, we'd go to BC, we'd go to the mountains, or we'd leave the province for these experiences. So as the Saskatchewaner, I got to discover what these cities really had to offer and what these different destinations from corner to corner of the province, what was going on. So I guess a few of my favorite experiences in that position, the obvious one that always jumps out and that I feel like I tell the story the most is I had an opportunity to go up for a flight to showcase the Royal Canadian Air Force and their training program in Moose Jaw. So I got to do a couple days of training, and I got to hop in with, it's called the Hawk. Now I feel bad, I'm drawing a blank on what the actual jet is called, but we ended up going in the Hawk, flying around for an hour. That thing was moving about 500 knots, which is pretty close to 1,000 kilometers an hour. We were doing backflips. We were twisting, spinning, flipping around, pulling ridiculous.
Was it one of those things where it's like you have to really concentrate not to pass out? Or sometimes they do. You're like,
yeah. So the way you have to wear a G suit, which is basically, those things that you put on your arm when you go to the doctor to get your blood checked. You have a suit that's basically coveralls that goes from below your chest down to your heels, and the more G-force you pull, the more that thing fills with air, and that's designed to keep the blood in your brain so you don't pass out from all the blood rushing to your toes while you're turning because you're pulling so much G-force.
Yeah.
So this thing, when you start to pull G-force, which, to explain G-force, if anyone's unfamiliar, 2 G's of G-force, it doubles your weight. 3 triples your weight. 4 quadruples your weight. So I'm trying to film in the back of this jet, and we're pulling 4 G's, and I'm having a hard time holding my arm up because it's 4 times the weight. So we ended up having a pretty incredible time, or I ended up having a pretty incredible time. I managed to keep my lunch down, which
That's
was
good.
a bonus, which surprised everybody at the Air Force. But yeah, that was...
It'd be like a rite of passage. Almost like, this guy's legit.
Yeah, they called the puke bags my boarding pass when I got on that. But yeah, it was a very unique way to see the province. To put it in perspective, to drive from Moose Jaw to Gravelbourg, I think is about, maybe it's an hour at least. I think maybe over an hour. So when we left the airbase in Moose Jaw, we popped up in the jet and we were just flying along. I wasn't entirely paying attention to which direction the pilot was taking us. I was just more mind blown at how fast we were moving. And I think my watch said it was about 7 minutes after we took off, and I looked down and said, "Where's that?" We buzzed over this town. He's like, "Gravelbourg." It took us 7 minutes to...
It's a quick commute.
Yeah, so if you could take that to work, you could pretty much live anywhere in the province and work out of Lumsden.
Yeah, no kidding. Anywhere in Canada, pretty much. Yeah. Jeez. Just thinking about the G suit. It sounds like a really fancy tailored suit brand. Someone should trademark that.
Oh, that would be unreal.
That would be. Okay, so I'm sorry. Were you finished with that?
Yeah, that's all.
That's a pretty crazy story. Like that's. I wonder how many people can actually say they've been in a jet. I personally haven't.
Well, yeah. You better apply for the Saskatchewander this year.
I applied last year, but it's like people like you do such a dang good job that make it tough for other people.
Hey, I think you got it. I think you got it pretty good here, anyways.
No, well, yeah, no, I do enjoy this position. That's for sure. Get my own podcast. Well, co-podcast, maybe we'll see.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's do it.
So, I guess I want to hear more about locations. Was there like maybe 3 locations that stick out in your mind where it's like you haven't been there before, and then all of a sudden you went there and you're like, this is never crossed my mind to go here in Saskatchewan, and this place is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, totally. There's too many to list, but to just go off the top of my head, a few of my favorite spots, and the most mind-blowing for me was just anywhere in northern Saskatchewan, I guess. I feel like a lot of us from southern Saskatchewan don't ever truly realize how mind-blowing it is north of Prince Albert. Like I said, I went up there a few times for hockey, but I never got to camp. I never got to explore any of the lakes. I was never into canoeing or kayaking or anything like that. But I had an opportunity to go on a trip to Besnard Lake, it's a lake known for its fishing. It's about 2 hours north of L'Orange. And I believe L'Orange is 2 hours north of Prince Albert. So it's quite a ways up there, an 8-hour drive from my hometown. And I went up there, and I'm not a fisherman. I didn't want to cast a rod out of running the risk of catching and having to touch a fish.
You sound like me.
Yeah. But it was one of those things where that's one of the most fascinating things about our province, and one of the most appealing things to people outside of the province is how incredible our fishing was. So I wanted to give it a shot, and I knew we could have a lot of fun with the content we created out there. So I ended up having a few friends that go on an annual fishing trip, and they just let me tag along. We went there May long weekend, and we'd spent 12 to 13 hours a day on a boat for the entire long weekend. So we were I had sea legs when I finished that trip. But
See, this is why people in tourism have such a good time. Because
yeah.
So I worked a 10 to 13 hour day, or what you said, 12 to 13?
12, yeah.
12 to 13 hour day, but it's work. But it's fun.
You're having fun. So it was incredible. It ended up, I did end up touching fish. By the end of it, I wasn't comfortable, but I could do it. I didn't like it, but we were pulling up some incredible fish. I don't know what our record was. We had money on which of the 8 of us was going to pull up the biggest fish for the weekend, and I think the winner was 42 inches. It was a jack, was 42 inches, so these things were massive, and the walleye that we were pulling up was fantastic. So we'd pull over, we'd have shore lunch, we'd fry up what we cooked. It felt pretty cool to be able to do something like that, to catch, fillet, cook, and eat something all within the same day. It was
makes you feel like a man.
Yeah, exactly. I was pretty stoked about that. But Besnard was phenomenal. Another place up north that I absolutely loved was Jan Lake. Jan Lake is...
I hear amazing things about Jan Lake.
Jan Lake is up, I guess Flin Flon would be probably the town, or Cretin would be the places that people would know the whereabouts, northeast Saskatchewan. And realistically, looking at a map, it's central, east central. Jan Lake still isn't... It's super north for me, but looking at it from the map, it's not that north. But anyhow, fishing up there was incredible. We did a canoe trip. So we ended up renting a canoe, and Jan Lake is basically a community that's just made up of 3 different fishing lodges, and there's some locals that have cabins. But we rented a canoe from a friend, and we canoed across the lake and ended up setting up camp on an island for 2 days.
Oh, that's cool.
And just hung out. There was no cell service. It was just us in the wilderness. We'd catch some fish, we'd cook, we'd fry. We mostly just had a few beers and kind of relaxed and enjoyed the sights. But one of the cool things about Jan Lake, we had a local that took us out on the water, and there's actually cliff jumping there.
I heard about the cliffs there.
Yeah.
I have a story. We didn't end up going to do it, but this is why I know Jan Lake, because I was researching the area. We wanted to do some rock climbing there.
Oh.
Yeah, because I hear that's an amazing spot. There's no one has done routes at Jan Lake yet, but there's a huge amount of possibilities. Okay. And there's people that want to make those routes happen, and I want to be the videographer for it, but I can't rock climb worth...
Oh, man.
Yeah. So if there's any videographers out there who can rock climb, like a Jimmy Chin type, then there's a huge opportunity there for you.
Okay, that's interesting. I never even would have thought of that. Mm-hmm. But, I guess go to Jan Lake.
Go to Jan Lake.
It's awesome. What's some more spots? Another favorite of mine, a resort called Firesong Resort, actually. That's one that that a lot of people are unaware of. And if you're familiar, do you know where Meadow Lake is?
I do know where Meadow Lake, that is past Saskatoon by Humboldt.
Yeah. No,
No?
other direction.
Other direction,
So
okay.
if you go up to Saskatoon and you're on your way to Lloydminster,
Yes.
you'll go through North Battleford, and then pretty much when you hit North Battleford, if you head north, you'll go to Meadow Lake Provincial Park, is
Gotcha.
up in that neck of the woods. And about 45 minutes away from Meadow Lake, there's this resort on a lake called Fowler Lake, and this resort's called Fire Song, and it's luxury cabins that you can rent for your family, you can rent for your friends. They have all sorts of activities. It's an all-season resort, so in the winter you can skidoo. There's a pond hockey. There's lots of stuff for your family and friends to get up to when you're out there. But the people that own it, the owners are incredible, and a true hidden gem. That the resort actually has, I believe, don't quote me on this, but North America's only or largest rain harvested swimming pool. They have an entire pool that's all been filtered through eaves troughs and like funneled through.
That's
like,
amazing.
It'll blow your mind. Google an image of Fire Song Resort.
I'm doing it.
You'll
I'm going
be
to write
like-
it down right here so I don't forget.
You'll be like, this is in Saskatchewan? What is going on here?
Fire Song. There it is. It's written down.
Yeah.
I'm going to go visit it.
That's the one.
So since this is a glamping park, would you consider that, would you consider Fire Song a glamping?
No, it's like full-blown luxury resorts.
Full-blown luxury. Gotcha.
Yeah, like
Okay,
it's like you go there and you have like a 3-story house with everything you need in it, and like the one, like for example, there's a house. All the houses are different, or cabins that you can rent. One of them is like a sports house that's designed for like kind of like families that want to host like a party. So like an example would be the basement has a pool table with a Saskatchewan Roughriders logo. There's a bar on the side. Like it's just designed to host, like to have a really awesome gathering.
Why haven't I heard of this place? It
Yeah,
sounds amazing.
Like it's pretty cool. And like I guess one of the things that they do there, you can buy into the cabins yourself, like as an investor. So that's one of the things they focus on, but they also do the rentals. So if it's available, you can sneak in there and rent it for your family and have a pretty wicked getaway.
So Christmas is probably not open, I'm guessing.
It'd be worth a shot, because
Yeah.
I honestly don't know where a cooler place would be to go for Christmas than one of those cabins, especially the sports one with the pool tables.
Oh, that would be awesome. Oh, man. Okay, so actually, I got a question for you. I mean, you've seen a lot of resorts this summer, and I mean, glamping's, I would say, a fairly relative new term in Saskatchewan. It's popping up. And I always ask guests this question on the podcast: what makes a glamping resort to you, or what do you consider glamping? What does it need?
Yeah. Honestly, for glamping, which shout out to you guys, because I got to visit your resort this summer a few times filming. I still haven't spent the night, but just exploring and checking out the different options.
You'll get there, don't worry.
It's absolutely incredible, and it's one of the coolest and most exciting things. It's so cool to see new things, forward-thinking places like this pop up on our radar for tourism Saskatchewan.
Well, and I mean, there's tons. There's like Been There Campground. What were the wagons that you went and visited too?
Down in Maple Creek, Ghost Town Blues.
Yeah, there's so many cool
is an
places
incredible
popping
bed
up.
and
Love
breakfast.
it.
But yeah, as far as my personal definition of glamping, I would just say anything that's a little bit easier than bringing a tent yourself and having to do the full meal deal. If you can just roll up, maybe bring a sleeping bag, but probably not, just roll up and have a similar experience that you'd have to camping, where you're not in a hotel, you're not in a like a resort or anything. You're covered, you're comfortable, you can go out and have a fire, you can jump in the lake, you got a bathroom.
Very important, yes.
You got a kitchen, maybe.
Yeah, shower and bathroom,
Yeah.
and a nice bed. Those are like the 3 tick boxes that I'm like, well, running water, that comes to the bathroom. Where I'm like, you need that to be glamping.
I like
But
it.
some disagree. There's actually a lot of cool. We went to a trade show meeting. Everyone came together in industry and talked up in Aurora, Colorado. And I mean,
Real cool.
it's like right outside of Denver, but great spot. And a lot of people are doing anything from like, there's a company called Tenter, where they basically just go to farmers, people who have extra farmland that it's either grazing and they want to do something different with, and they'll just set up a tent that has, I think they design their own toilet where it's like the fluid they use on spaceships, where it kind of goes in bags and whatnot, but they consider that glamping, and it's an amazing experience. It's really cool. So they're starting to expand, I believe, into Canada, but they're pretty much in every state right now. They're really, really neat. Kind of like the Airbnb of camping.
Okay, well, now would you consider I guess you wouldn't, but would Authentics be glamping? I wouldn't.
Which one's Authentics?
Authentics are in the national parks. They're those like they're propane heated.
Yep.
You bring your own blankets and stuff, but there's basically a bunk bed and a plain table.
Yeah. I'd say that's more of like easy camp kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what that would be to me. It's still an amazing experience, and I'd definitely do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I just kind of
needs to be another tier, another level up to be. I agree with you.
Yeah, and I mean,
actually.
glamping, and this is another thing actually everyone was talking about at that meeting in Aurora was classifying the different areas of glamping before someone else does. Because actually, when you think of like the hotel industry, you got the 5-star, you got motel, hotel, and kind of the urge to do that before anybody else does.
Yep.
So I think there's still like, you still can consider that glamping. It would just be like, I don't know what the word would be for it, but there'd be like luxury glamping, this level, sort of thing. Because I mean, it really is a broad.
Not a bad idea, Matt.
Yeah. I mean,
get on that.
I'm doing my best. Okay, I got to circle back to something just because I'm curious, because you were a Zamboni driver.
Absolutely.
Which, were you ever known as like the Zamboni guy or Zamboni man? Do people call you that? Be an excellent wrestling name, by the way.
Noted. Yeah, like I literally for a year of my life in my town of 700 people, I was the guy who drove the Zamboni at the rink. There was obviously a few other employees that we had, but I was the manager of the rink, and I was the one who had to take care of the ice. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
There wasn't YouTube wasn't as much of a thing in 2007 as it was now, so it was just somebody would come and be like, "Oh, you're doing this wrong." Like a lot of people from like out of town would sometimes just be like, you should do this, or random people helping a guy out.
Oh, that's kind of them. That's a small town living though.
It's a small town, yeah. And
that was great.
That was the thing that I learned. Another thing, just to throw back to Saskatchewan or lessons, I guess, was it always felt the same, no matter whether you were in northern Saskatchewan, eastern, western, wherever you were. Every time you pulled into a small town and went to a hall to meet people for like a dog race or whatever kind of cool experience I was going to film, it always felt so remarkably similar to home, just because everyone was so genuine. Everyone was welcoming. It felt like they knew, like, just the people here.
Yeah, people love to talk in small towns. I love that.
Yeah,
it's funny. I still, whenever I go back to Estrazy, there's lots of people that aren't even. Estrazy really expanded with the mines, and even when I go there, people are still like, "Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
What's up?" I'm like, "I don't know you, but hey, what's up?
What's going on?" Yeah. How long ago were you in Esterhazy?
Okay, so I came to Regina in 2010. I went back 2 summers in a row. So, I mean, really since 2010, I'd consider myself a Regina resident, sort of thing. But, so yeah, it's been almost 10 years out of Estrazy. His parents are still there, though, on an acreage.
Nice.
And, yeah, I still try to visit.
Back every now and again?
Yep. Yeah.
What's Esterhazy got? What's their thing? I don't think I've ever been to Esterhazy.
So, actually, they have a golf course there, and they have a really nice running trail around it, which I just love.
Okay.
It's great. So,
any bakery? They don't have a famous cinnamon bun or a...
They opened up, it's called Whippletree, and it's like a coffee shop that's a movie theater as well. There used to be an old movie theater, and I was devastated when it shut down back in the day.
Yeah.
And when they reopened it, I was like, yeah.
Done.
It's good. It's just nostalgic. So that's really cool to check out. There used to be this old... probably not the safest place, but it was a gravel pit that had water in it, and you could cliff jump off it. It was on private property. Like, we were friends with the guy, so he let us go. But that was one of my favorite things. And just we used to go during lunch during school to go to the gravel pit, and I very vividly remember one time where it's like, it's really muddy out. We probably shouldn't go because it's just gravel and dirt. It's in basically the middle of a field is what it looks like. You can't see the water from the road, and it's kind of covered by trees. And we got stuck in my little Pontiac Grand Prix.
Nice.
And everyone came back to school just covered in mud. It was wonderful and awesome at the same time.
If you didn't have a Pontiac Grand Prix in grade 12, did you even go to high school, really?
I don't think so. Like, that was a great car. I had like the nice heads-up display too. It was the dream vehicle, the OG.
I love it.
Yeah, it was silver bullet. Oh, man. Great times. Okay, so... you love Saskatchewan a lot. I can tell by the amount of things that, you're involved with, you endorse. Is endorse the right word? Because,
that's fair to say, for sure.
Right on. Because, you showed me the list of, like, restaurants on your phone that's, like, 300 long.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that list first off. And then do you have any other secret lists that you have a bunch of hidden
Oh, my cell phone memos are just full because with social media, obviously you go to one restaurant, post about it. People will comment that either they love that place or they'll shoot a message saying like, oh, if you like that place, you should go to this place. So I realized very quickly with the Saskatchewan Beer program that a lot of the best hidden gems that people really love or like a lot of people don't know about yet. So I started to keep memos in small towns, and I would post questions on social media saying like, I just had a pretty awesome cinnamon bun in Carlisle. Anybody else got any small town gems? So somebody from like Kindersley would be like, we have the best cinnamon buns, and somebody from wherever. And all of a sudden I have this list of like all these small town bakeries that I want to visit before, like kind of like bucket list things that I want to check off. I've been living in Regina for just about like a year and a half now. And since I moved there, I have probably 150 restaurants that either local Regina people will recommend, or just dive restaurants that I'll just walk in and be like, you never know. And honestly, in Regina, that's been my favorite thing, is how many incredible little restaurants that I've discovered with coworkers and friends since I've moved to the city, that people who've lived in Regina for 20 years would be like, I'd never go into that place. It's like, you'll be surprised. Just
all right, top 5 hidden gems. Go.
In Regina?
Let's just go Regina. Let's start with Regina, and then let's expand it. Is that okay?
Yes, that's
Regina,
that's super
then expand.
Okay, so number 1 hidden gem, if you could call it that. I think a lot of people do know about it, but Shanghai Lily is my go-to when a new person...
I still haven't been there when you told me about it.
Yeah, you have to, man. They have the dim sum there. You can get a soup dumpling that'll change your life. Like, trust me, go there.
What was the bowl you mentioned?
That might have been at a different place.
Oh, okay. What was your favorite dish there? You said something. I'm pretty sure that was Shanghai Lily.
Shanghai Lily was the soup dumplings.
The soup dumplings.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if we're just going down, let me think about this. Another hidden restaurant that a lot of people wouldn't know about.
It doesn't have to be hidden. It can just be your top 5.
Oh, my go-tos. I go to Juan Izakaya a lot. Like, I go there weekly for a bowl of ramen. They have a spicy tonkatsu ramen. I don't really know what it is other than the most beautiful thing you'll ever eat in your entire life. It's just spicy broth. Noodles are made. I don't think they make the noodles in-house. Anyways, Juan Izakaya is number 2 on my list. Probably. I love Sky Bistro. That's one of my favorite places. It's in the Science Center.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was just going to confirm. Science Center. So
Louise Liu, Milton Rebello, they're a husband-wife duo, and they have it's one of the most beautiful restaurants in the city in terms of the lighting and the building. The atmosphere is incredible. Obviously, like, it's hard to not put Avenue on the list. Like, Avenue is one of the best restaurants in Canada, let alone the city.
Well, he won, was it MasterChef? Or was it
Dale McKay won MasterChef? He's one of the owners in the company and helped design the menu and stuff. Yeah, but I think it's MasterChef.
It is the best place to go for a cocktail for those of you who aren't aware.
Yes.
It is, like, their food is great, but their cocktails it doesn't compare to anything I've ever been to.
Yeah, 100%. And another one that I think a lot of people doesn't get enough attention is the Creek on Cathedral Bistro. You familiar with that place?
I am embarrassed to say I'm not.
See, that's the thing. Like, the chef there, I've never met him, but what he puts out is incredible. But it's on 13th Avenue in Regina, like a little bit on the outskirts of Cathedral area.
Okay. Would it be like south outskirts or
west?
West outskirts. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, west. I'm terrible.
There used to be a gym beside it called Flux Fitness. I think would be the best place to describe, like, the easiest way. But they have an amazing brunch. They make the bison patties in-house. You can get a bison burger, and it's one of the few places, Avenue does it, but you can get a bison burger cooked medium rare, which I don't know if you guys have ever had a medium rare bison burger. It's the greatest thing in the history of the world.
I haven't, but
anytime. But you can get a medium rare bison burger with foraged mushrooms and a fried egg on top, and like on a sourdough bun. That's one of my favorite brunches. But the menu also changes all the time. But
that's a nice thing when you have like the small restaurants that are very, I don't know if boutique's the right word, but it's like you always have new stuff coming in, and it really depends on seasonal veggies, seasonal, and it's ever changing. It's great.
Yeah, but that's hard. I could go on and on about.
Okay, well, let's go outside of Regina.
Okay, let's go outside. Well, priority number one, everyone has to go to Harvest Eatery down in Shaunavon. That is one of my favorite restaurants in the province for sure.
What makes that one so good?
The chef down there, so Garrett, known as Rusty, is just a rock star. Everything he puts out is phenomenal. He uses local ingredients. Everything's sourced from in and around the area. He's literally, his butcher where he gets all the meat from is across the street. Like, he goes over there and he picks it, like, and he does it all. And they changed the menu. Him and his wife Christy, they just opened up a place attached called the Blind Boar, which is actually a speakeasy cocktail bar behind it.
That's cool.
So it's just like, it's got these big city vibes. Like, the food you get and the experiences you'll have there feel like you're in downtown Vancouver, but it's in Shaunavon. So it's one of those places that you walk into when you're pulling into this town with, I don't know the population of Shaunavon. It can't be more than 3,000 people, maybe.
Yeah, it's not very big.
Around there, maybe 5,000, but you're not expecting to get the experience you get when you walk in, and you can sit at the bar, and the kitchen's open concept, so you can watch the chefs work. They have amazing cocktails. I honestly can't say enough about that place. That's like that. It's worth the drive from Regina for one meal to go the 2.5 hours down to Shaunavon and back.
This reminds me of, have you ever heard of Rawhide? It's at a place
Yes.
so it's north of York, and I cannot remember the name of the town. I was just trying to think of it.
Stenen,
that's right.
Yeah.
Stenen. Is it Stenen or Stenen?
Yeah, I'm probably
Stenen.
saying it wrong.
I think it's Stenen. But I pulled up there, and it's I think it's an old school, and you basically just have like,
oh man,
old country Western style cookout. It's great. I think they're like doing a hotel there, like a volleyball pits. It's amazing.
That's one of those places that's still on my bucket list that I haven't got to experience yet. But Kevin Dunn, who was the Saskatchewander in 2018, did an awesome piece, a story on that restaurant, and got a lot of traction. The locals there love it, and I've heard nothing but good things about Rawhides.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do then. So the Rawhides, so Estrazy. Then my dad has a cabin which is north up in McBride Lake? Yes, it's McBride Lake.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm blanking on the name.
Nope.
Yes, it is McBride Lake, and that's like the halfway point, so we usually stop there.
Okay.
So we should do a tour one day.
Yeah, done
We'll go
deal.
check out that lake.
Done
go to
deal.
Rawhides.
Go have a feast at Rawhides, and I
it's-
think they do music there too.
Yes, they do.
So that's a coworker just told me that today, actually, was that there's concerts there, and they do weddings and all sorts of different events in that space. So I'll do it.
All right, perfect.
On our way to explore Duck Mountain this winter.
Deal.
There's apparently lots to do in Duck Mountain.
I hear that. Yeah, I haven't been to Duck Mountain in a long time. I used to go there lots as a kid. Great spot though. Great spot. Sorry, I interrupted you. Okay, so
No, all good.
you had it was called Harvest Eatery.
Harvest Eatery.
Okay,
yeah.
I need two more. I really do.
Two more. Okay,
Scat.
one place that I'm gonna try and space this out so I'm not all in one corner or on other sides. There's another random one. Okay, so I haven't been there yet, but the amount of good things that I've heard has me thinking that Nipawin is a food destination right now. They have two restaurants going on, and this is terrible for me to bring it up because I'm drawing a blank on the names, but the one is a barbecue, and it's just a new barbecue spot. I think it's probably been around for less than a year. And every single person on social media, when I talk about food, tells me I have to get to Nipawin and try this barbecue restaurant. And there's another one up there that's, I can't remember. We'll have to pass on that.
Yeah, that's all good.
And then if you guys are ever in Waskesiu area, there's a restaurant called Pietro. So it's only open during the summer, like during basically their busy season. So I think it's closed now for the winter. But Pietro is absolutely amazing. They're just like, you can get pizza, pasta, whatever it is you want, and it's in Waskesiu. So you get a nice glass of wine while you're there, and yeah.
Nice. That sounds wonderful.
And another one. There's so many of them.
Oh, that's
it's
okay. We can move on. I was kind of putting you on the spot with those.
No,
but,
that's good. I'm feel naked without my list in front of me.
If you want to pull up the list. But we'll move on. So actually, this is something that I know you're passionate about, and I am passionate about as well. Most males, well, really anybody over the age of, let's say, 19 is the microbreweries that have been popping up.
Yes.
So one cool thing that I really enjoy is we got to kind of witness the birth of microbreweries in Saskatchewan to some degree. Because I mean, I think the first one that I can think was really District popped up. Then Rebellion was one of the original ones. And you got like Pile of Bones. I think Yorkton has one called Back 40. Nokomis. There's just so many. High Key in Saskatoon is a newer one, and it is one of my favorite things, just in general, especially in Saskatchewan. Of all these neat beers, craft breweries that are popping up, and I just want to know your favorites. And
there's I could never choose a favorite. I'll say that right now. I'm like, same with the restaurants. I'll throw out whatever ones kind of pop in my head, but one of my favorites for sure is Nokomis, just because of I love being pleasantly surprised in a small community. Like, it's obviously awesome to when you see all these breweries in cities or downtown or wherever, in whatever districts of the cities that you find, but the fact that Nokomis is in a town that has probably 500 people, maybe 1,000 people, and it's this incredible brewery. They literally set up shop there because of the quality of the water.
Yeah, it has some of the best drinking water.
Yeah, and they're central, so they have delivery routes. They're the same distance from Saskatoon to Regina. So it's just a really cool story. You obviously have to give plenty of love to Rebellion for what they've done in the city. And
I love the owner of Rebellion. He gets like that kind of Kiss sort of vibe.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
They have such they live their brand. That's what I love about them, and their beer is on top of it. They have a female head brewmaster, so that's a really cool story. The lentil beer, obviously, they're constantly pumping out new things. My local is multinational. I live less than a minute walk away from there, so I spend a lot of time in there.
That's perfect.
Love multinational. There's you can bring your dogs in, you can bring your kids in. It's open till 9 o'clock, so it's never rowdy in there. It's more
it's attached to 33 1/3.
Yeah, there's a coffee shop in there, so just a really cool and a lot smaller scale. They just produce what they produce, and they kind of are constantly burning through. You're not going to go in there and see the same thing twice very often. So multinational, Sony. And then obviously one of my go-to spots is the new Pile of Bones in Regina.
Yeah, that's a nice spot.
And I'm giving a lot of love to Regina breweries because that's where I've been living for the last little while. But you can get almost every beer produced in Saskatchewan you can find on tap. You can find on tap a beer from every brewery almost at the new Pile of Bones, which is special. They have 35 beers on tap there.
That's a lot.
So it's
I like how they have all the screens up and everything.
Yeah, they have an app so you can see what beer's on tap, how much is left of it. So if there's something that you really like, you can kind of follow it from your couch at home.
Gotta
and be
get
like,
in.
I gotta get down there and try that watermelon whiteout. Yeah. So
that's one thing I like about I'm pretty sure it's like this no matter where you go, but especially in Saskatchewan, is how much the local breweries support each other.
Yeah.
Like they all carry I would say like Rebellion has Nokomis, they have
same.
It's great. I really love that. So.
Definitely. And then like to throw a few out of town ones out there, like Blackbridge is phenomenal out in Swift Current. The beer that they put out is some of my favorite, like that I can drink them, and they're one of the first ones that started putting out a lot of cans. Them and District they were in the liquor stores. I remember like 2-3 years ago, you could find cans of Blackbridge and District beer in the liquor stores. One destination that I'm really excited to check out in Saskatoon is apparently Prairie Sun opened up a pretty monstrous, pretty awesome brewery right on Broadway Avenue in Saskatoon.
Yep.
So I've had a lot of people message me saying I have to check this place out, and it looks pretty awesome. And I feel like it'll be Saskatoon's version of what Pile of Bones is doing, I feel, from what I've heard anyways. And then
I've heard good things about it too.
Yeah. And then rip up to Armory in North Battleford sounds pretty awesome. And
Armory's good. They're all
too many
great.
beers, not enough time. Yeah, we're lucky that we have what we have here for sure.
No, I agree.
There should be more.
There can always be more. There's room for more guys.
Room.
And it's even cool. I mean, you even got the we're just right down the street from
Last Mountain.
Yeah, Last Mountain.
Yeah.
Which is, the micro distilleries is also really cool. So
absolutely, I gotta pop in there and say hello on my way out of town.
Friends with them?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
good,
Meredith and Colin. They were one of my first stories as a Saskatchewander, actually. So I got to go there and learn a little bit. I didn't know a ton about distilling when I went there, and Colin helped me out a lot. And they had a lot of fun when I was interviewing them. So I always
cool.
like to, when I'm in town, say hello.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Right on. All right. So I guess I want to move back to just your life in general. You've done a lot of really cool things in the last year.
Appreciate that.
The TED Talk.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. When you first said it, it's like, yeah, I'm talking about my toothbrush. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Where is he going with this?
Yeah.
So that was hilarious, by the way. Loved it. And I guess even further back, I mean, content that you produce. You did that story when you were running the QCM, which was hilarious. That was great. Were you always into running? Because you did the Beaver Flat, which is like, is that a 50K race?
50K, yeah, an ultra marathon.
Yeah, which feels like 70 for those of you who aren't running. If you're running on flat ground, a 50K, or if you're running 70K on flat ground, that'll feel like 50K in the hills.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's not very fun, but
So
glad I did it.
Tell me a bit about, I guess, inspiration.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to talk about your TED Talk first. Like, how did that come about? That's huge, and that's crazy.
That was something. One of my favorite things about the Saskatchewan Beer job was how often I was reached out to present, whether it was at schools or for events. A lot of times it would be come in and talk about, could you give us tips on photography, videography, and then that kind of molded to like, could you do a keynote presentation on storytelling or the tourism industry. And I just loved and knew that I wanted to do as much of that as I could. So whether I was emceeing events, and I was just trying to stay active in that after the Wanderer job ended, and just through different various connections, I was on the right person's radar at the right time when TEDx was making its way to Regina at the public library. So I got invited to be a part of that, and pieced together, kind of pitched my idea that I had about how to brush your teeth, and they liked it. So I kind of ran with it, and it ended up being something that I'm quite proud of. Just the fact that, because I know, basically, to explain to you guys what the story was, it's basically, long story short, when you brush your teeth, use that time to think about what you're grateful for. So that's the shortened up elevator pitch of my entire TED Talk, is explaining how I got to the moment where I realized that a gratitude practice is going to help me through a lot of things in my life, and that I can develop a gratitude practice and keep it consistent if I do that every time I brush my teeth. So now in the morning and at night, I use that time to think about what I'm excited for the day. And in the evening, I think about what I'm grateful for that happened, the good things, everything like that. And just kind of, that's been my compass for the last year or so. So I was really grateful to have an opportunity in a stage like TEDx to share that with other people who might be in need of it. So,
yeah. And if people want to find that, because you should go watch it. It's a great story. It's hilarious. It was very well done. Where can they go find that?
Yeah, that'd be on, I think if you just type in AndrewHiltz, how to brush your teeth on YouTube, you'll find it. If you go to my Instagram page, it's in the bio. There's a link you can click there. That's probably the easiest way, but yeah, that's on the webs.
Right on. Yeah. Okay, so you obviously get your inspiration from somewhere. You love comedy. I know that.
Yeah.
Photography. Where do you come up with these ideas? What drives you to do what you do? And how do you come up with these ideas?
Yeah, honestly, like
asking for a friend.
Yeah. Well, I have a quote that I really like, that I have a sticker of it, and it says, "Inspiration exists, but it has to find you working." So that's something that I try to remind myself of often when you're in a rut, when you're having trouble doing, like, coming up with ideas, that sitting behind a desk or a computer or whatever, trolling the web, you're not going to get good ideas doing that. When I'm out on the road, when I'm traveling, when I'm filming, just creating whatever it is, half the time an idea comes to my mind, it's in the middle of me shooting an old idea, or I'm on the road at Glamping filming with you and something strikes my mind, or a conversation that we had where it's like, I should try that, or I should do a video about that, or just, I don't know. I think most of my ideas come from a combination of the people that I meet and the things that I do kind of colliding, and just being on the road driving with lots of time to think. And like, okay, so Matt's filming a podcast and Tourism Sask doesn't have a podcast. Maybe we should get this thing going. No, yeah. I wish I could tell you where ideas come from, but
You're born with it.
They just pop out of nowhere. When you're in a rut, just go camping.
Just go camping.
And let go, and it'll come.
Yep. Brush your teeth.
Brush your teeth.
Yeah. All right. Well, you're a funny guy. I mean that in a good way.
Appreciate that. Right back at you, my friend.
Thank you. In a good way, I hope. So, do you have any favorite comedians that you enjoy listening to?
Oh man, my favorite comedian of all time is Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah.
Just the one-liners. All around. Yeah. The late, great Mitch Hedberg. And then a lot of the comedy that I've been involved in lately, I've been trying to go to as many. I've been enjoying live shows, and I don't get to as many as I want, but usually when I travel, I'll take in. So I was lucky enough to go to New York earlier this year, and I got to go to a famous, I can't remember the name of the Comedy Cellar, which like Jerry Seinfeld, like all the big names have been there, and it's known for just like famous people just walking in and crashing, doing a quick little set. So I got to go there and saw some incredible comedians. I was down in Portland on a trip this summer and went to a comedy show with some friends down there and saw like 30 comedians. It was just like a open mic night, and I was hesitant to go, but it ended up they were all just phenomenal comedians testing out new material. And then even in Regina, you can go to the Cure. Have you ever been to the Cure on Monday nights for open mic night?
I've never been on Monday night. I've been there once,
yeah.
And it was a DJ playing, but I've heard about their open mic.
Yeah, so the Cure, also an amazing place for food. They have the beef brisket there.
It's by Avenue.
Yeah, it's right on 11th
Yep,
Avenue.
yep.
Yeah, and just down the street from Avenue, the restaurant. But they do an open mic night on Monday night, and there's some pretty awesome local comedians that'll pop in there and do shows. And I think even the Cathedral Social Hall does comedy night, and there's the Hitchhikers, the improv group in Regina.
It might be. I'm not as involved with comedy and improv as I should be. I love it, but I just haven't found the time to. I need to find time because I enjoy it so much.
Yeah.
And I just find myself going on Netflix to watch whatever comedy special comes up.
So do you got a favorite?
Oh man, well, Mitch Hedberg, definitely for sure. I'm glad you mentioned him. I do enjoy him. My favorite one by him, I don't know why this gets me every time. He's like, the best stocking stuffer is a foot or something. Just wow.
That is a perfect explanation of Mitch Hedberg comedy.
I actually, I really enjoy Joe Rogan. I do. I just love his podcast. I think he's just a hilarious guy, very well spoken. Dave Chappelle, his new comedy special that came out. I think that that guy gets how to do comedy on a different level. It's just, he was talking about real world problems, but he was making light. It was still serious, but he was making light of them in a good way that's like bringing awareness and also making people laugh at the same time. That was just very masterful. There's a list I could go down, but I do like my Netflix comedy specials. I need to get out and do the live stuff. I love live music too, so I don't know why I don't do the exact same thing for comedy, because these things are so much better when they're live.
Get on it. Let me know. I'll go with you.
Hey, sounds good. We should do one of those Monday nights. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Go on stage.
Oh man, that would be, my heart's just like this thinking about it.
I know.
Oh,
I'd like to try it one day just for the adrenaline rush, but nothing makes me more nervous.
Oh geez, we should have a bet who can write the better
5-minute bit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, do one thing a year that scares you. It's supposed to be a day, but I'll start with a year.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd be down for that. My one friend, he wanted to rent a hall in Arcola for his 27th birthday and do a comedy night, but he shut it down because he realized it was going to turn into the roast of him. So we're like, AJ, come on, we won't do that. I mean, there might be some in there, but
Oh man.
But yeah, that'd be fun. Okay, nice. I'm gonna move on to the last question. We've been talking for quite a while, actually. This has been great.
Yeah, no, man, this is fun.
So this is one thing that I've been thinking about for a while, and I mean, I've struggled with working with glamping resorts, and I'm sure you've struggled with as well working with tourism. But I find, so our neighboring provinces, namely Alberta, BC, they have all these grand natural landscapes that foster as I was saying before, snowboarding, skiing, mountain biking, whitewater rafting, kayaking. And it's almost like their tourism doesn't have to try that hard. Whereas in Saskatchewan, we have a lot of amazing stuff. You just have to work a little bit harder to find it, such as Fire Song.
Yep.
I'm so happy you said that, because if you wouldn't have said, I probably wouldn't have found it ever. I'm definitely going to go check it out.
Yeah.
So what are some things that Saskatchewan is doing to combat this, and I guess get rid of that stigma that that going to Alberta and BC is a holiday rather than staying in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, I guess one of our biggest strengths is obviously community and the people, but one of the things that I think we're going to find a lot of growth from is over tourism. You look at places like Banff and BC and the places that have hordes of people constantly flying in. You can't find hotels. Everything's expensive. You don't know what to do.
Do you know how hard it is to get a shot of Lake Louise without anybody in it?
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things that realistically we don't have that issue. So for somebody that wants a little bit of a more authentic experience and more of a peaceful getaway within Western Canada, Saskatchewan's the perfect place. You're going to experience silence like you've never experienced. When you're out in grasslands, you're going to experience a sky that most people around the world have no idea even is up there. Like when you're in grasslands or when you're in southern Saskatchewan, almost anywhere, looking up at the sky, northern Saskatchewan even, when you're away from the cities and you look up at our sky, it is one of the most phenomenal things you'd ever see. And when I lived in Vancouver, that was one of the biggest things that I missed. When I got home, I would just be staring when I'd be walking home in the night, because I'm like, I haven't saw stars.
Yeah, light pollution
in
sucks.
Forever, so it was just a mind-blowing thing. But getting people out, and I think Montana in the United States does an incredible job of marketing their kind of quiet state as this retreat, this getaway for creatives and for people who want to just experience silence and even meditation and things like this. That we have all these locations in Saskatchewan that are perfect. There is already writers' retreats across the province, a number of them, where people can go to just hide out, stay in a cabin, and just focus on what they're trying to create.
We can go there for writing our comedy routines.
Yeah. Yeah. And musicians and things like that. But I guess, and then from Tourism Sask, that's just trying to get that message out there that we're here, and you might not look at a photo of the grain fields and appreciate them right away, but once you're here and you're embracing the flat of southern Saskatchewan, you're going to be mind blown. And when you're embracing the adventurous side of northern Saskatchewan, you're going to be like, okay. And I think it's on us to kind of start promoting that northern Saskatchewan experiences as these rites of passage and claims for some of these travelers that claim to be, that are taking the same shot of Lake Louise as every other social media person or whatever. And it's like, oh, you know what?
Do something different.
Do something different. Northern Saskatchewan, there's no one there.
Yep.
You're not going to be waiting in line or asking somebody to move to take a picture of that incredible lake. Go up to northern Sask and you'll have an entire island to yourself.
Yeah.
An entire, you'll find people on the Churchill River system, but it'll be few and far between. And that'll be as great of an experience as you'll have. But
nice.
I don't know.
One thing that actually I found, at one time I took it for granted, and I'm sure other people have, but you don't realize, a lot of people don't see just flat. That's usually not a thing. So for example, actually I'll tell this story is people not appreciating what's around them. The first time I went to Greece and to Athens, I was blown away by people doing graffiti on these hundreds, thousands of year old structures, on the Parthenon, things like that. They would graffiti them. I'm like, how could you do something like that? Yeah. And it's just, you're around it for so long that you grow, I guess, numb to it kind of thing. Yeah. And you don't realize how beautiful or how, that you should appreciate that thing as much as you should. And then we had a guy, so when I was running track with the Cougars, we had a guy come from New Brunswick. No, doesn't matter. He came from New Brunswick or Nova Scotia, and we drove out to Moose Jaw because that's where our coach was. And he was just staring out the window at, it was winter at this time, at just the ice. And he's like, is this all lakes around us? I'm like, no, it's just flat. He's like, huh. kind of thing.
Yeah, that's...
So it is still very cool. Just because it's not the mountains doesn't mean that,
different.
that you can't get, I mean, you can get some awesome content out here. The amount of photographers that have been taking pictures, it's...
Literally, think about Bolivia and the ice, like the salt flats out there, and like their whole, like, every photo you see of the salt flats is someone off in the distance just playing with perspective, because you can pinch your friend, or you can be like standing on a bottle cap, like just all of those kind of fun things that you see in a lot of those flat places outside of Saskatchewan. We got to start doing that, embracing our flatness.
It's up to us, the marketing professionals, to make that happen. So it's all how you spin it.
Future campaign.
Yep, future campaign. It's all how you spin it. Jeez. Well, do you have anything else to add, I guess? Because we're rolling to the end of the podcast.
I think we're good, man. I don't know. Unless you got any more, I'm good to go.
This is awesome. I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
My
really
pleasure.
Do. Thanks for coming on. I know you're a busy guy, but...
let's do it again.
Let's do it again. I mean, season 2, maybe we'll be like the first guest.
Sign me up.
Great. Right on. All right, well, let's roll to the intro. Thank you, everybody who joined us. I haven't really checked the live feed if it's still live. Hopefully it is. But if not, you guys have a great rest of the day. And here is the outro. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today's episode was brought to you by Glamping Resorts. Are you looking to start your very own glamping resort? Well, guess what? They can help you. Whether you have your very own campground and you want to increase those occupancy rates, well, guess what? Adding glamping structures can do that. Visit glampingresorts.com today and find out how they can make that happen for you. I mean, even if you don't have your own campground, you're starting from scratch, you just want some information, maybe you want to become a partner with us. Well, we can help you out. Glampingresorts.com is the place to go for that. Next up is Element Construction. These are the guys who helped us build. Actually, this building I'm in right now, they actually built it as well. But, I mean, they helped us with our domes, our tents. They helped with the posts on the walking trails, the playground, and these guys do amazing work. Not only are they great guys, but you don't have to worry about going back years in the future and worrying about having to fix stuff that you shouldn't have to worry about fixing. Visit elementconstruction.ca today if you're looking for your next building project. Yeah, if you're looking to build something, go to elementconstruction.ca and they can get that done and make it look good and make it done. Make sure it is done well. Yeah. Then also, next sponsor is North Shore Resort. Yes, that's right. That is our very first glamping resort that we started off Buffalo Pound Lake. We got the domes, we got the tents, we got lake view lots, we got lakefront lots, and the lake view lots. You can also lease them as well. Not only buy them, you can lease them. And up until the end of November, you get $500 off your seasonal site lease. And that is for the 2020 camping season. So if you're already thinking about grabbing a campsite, might as well save the $500 now and get in one. $500 can buy you quite a bit, so make that happen, save some money. And if you're looking to buy a lakefront or lakeview lot, we have some amazing financing options available where you can put as little as 10% down, where usually it's like, 40 to 50. It's quite a bit that you usually have to put down. This makes it very, very possible to buy a lake property. So we can make that happen as well. Get a hold of us. You can find us at glampingresorts.com. And I should mention, this year is very busy for the glamping structures. A lot of people are trying to book. They couldn't get the weekends, the days that they wanted. So why not book early? We're open for booking for next year. Visit glampingresorts.com. Book the weekday, the weekend that you want to be in one of the domes, one of the tents, and plan your glamping getaway. And hey, maybe you want to, let's say, help someone else plan their glamping getaway. Well, we have gift cards that you can purchase at glampingresorts.com from as little as $50 to all the way up to like $1,000, $2,000. We'll do custom amounts for you if you want. So Christmas is coming up. That can be a stocking stuffer and give the gift of glamping. So anyways, that cuts it for today's episode. Thank you everybody for tuning in. As always, next week we're at the Agribition next week. So you can catch us there from Monday all the way to Saturday. We'd love to talk to you. We can sell you a gift card there as well. So come visit us. It'll be lots of fun. Maybe you can grab a Frisbee, Maybe we're giving out frisbees. You'll have to come and see. We are giving out frisbees, but we'll see you there. Thanks again for tuning in. Always love doing this for you guys, and I appreciate you guys watching. Take care and peace.